Hey everyone, it is time for yet another Tales from Behind the Dungeon Master's Screen. Somebody asked recently, hey, you sit there and talk about old school Dungeons and Dragons, why don't you have an old school Dungeons and Dragons DM screen? And that's a fair question. That's a really good question, actually. The short answer to that question is it's at my buddy's house, my buddy Andy's, where we play D&D normally when we play in person. And unfortunately, we just don't play in person since March. So maybe at some point I'll be able to go back there and get it. But technically, I mean, if we're ever back to a point where we can play D&D in person, I would still just leave it there anyway. So, I don't know. Maybe I can find one on eBay or something. Some beat-up, torn-up one for a couple of bucks that nobody else wants, and I'll just use it for the purposes of these videos. But anyway, regardless, what are we here to talk about today? We're here to talk about today about something that was ubiquitous in old-school D&D. Nobody went anywhere in a dungeon without one, and that was, of course, the 10-foot pole! Well, this isn't really a 10-foot pole. This is like my walking stick that I take with me sometimes. I like walking sticks. You know, hey, you know, just quick aside here. So I've always thought that there's something cool about having a stick when you walk. I think like as a kid, like when I was a Boy Scout, whenever we go on our camping trips, I learned how to whittle, actually, because I would always go into the forest and I dig around, and me and the other Boy Scouts would look for cool sticks like that we could use and pretend were lightsabers or swords or whatever it was at that time. And then my dad would come with me on those, and he taught me how to like whittle like little owls and things like that into there. And then like I always had the coolest sticks of anybody there, and like they were always like, you know. So I was really proud of the fact that I was able to make it. And actually, then my friends would say, "Hey, you know, can you carve like a cool thing?" And then I would do that. And so anyway, that was cool. But like I said, I've always just liked carrying a walking stick when I go for a walk. I don't know. There's something about it just makes. I don't know if it's just comforting having a stick in your hands. But anyway, not that I'm gonna like need a stout oaken cudgel to fend off goblins or anything. I just, you know, it's cool. Anyway, so the 10-foot pole. So the thing about the 10-foot pole was it kind of goes back a little further. So if you go back to like the basic set, the old BECMI stuff, and if you don't know what that is, Google it. Just Google BECMI D&D and you'll be able to track that down. But and to be fair, to be completely and totally fair, like 5th edition has kind of gone to this point too, where like the whole like starting equipment type of thing comes in. Like basically like here's your starting equipment. Here's like just, you know, a bedroll, a lantern, you know, rations, etc. But back in the day, when you would choose your items that your character would carry with them, you would just go to like this big long laundry list of things. And the basic edition actually had packages, right? You know, it's like, oh, you can take this one, and like what makes this one special? Oh, this one has a little mirror in it, you know, and what's the special about this one? Well, it's got a 10-foot pole in it, you know, that type of thing. And it was one of those things where the 10-foot pole was cheap. It was ubiquitous. Like everybody had one. It's kind of like the 50 feet of rope. Everybody has that, right? Because rope has so many uses. It was actually like old dragon tables of the many uses for rope, and there was like lists and lists and lists of things that you could use rope for, and like ideas that people could use in sessions. But the 10-foot pole was basically something that people carried with them for all kinds of things. I mean, and the biggest thing obviously is, you know, tapping the wall, making sure there's maybe, does it sound hollow over here? Is, tapping the floor as you're walking through the dungeon in front of you. Is there any trap doors, that sort of thing. And the whole thing is like, it didn't really occur to us that it's like 10-foot. Yeah, man, that pole is huge. It's like if you can't like strap it on your back because you're gonna be scraping the walls up and everything like that. I mean, theoretically, you could carry it alongside of you, but then you're going to be like three stoogezing the people around you by smacking them in the head with it and things like that. And we always talk too, it's like how tough was that pole, right? I mean, it was just one of those things that, yeah, okay, get your jokes out of the way. But I mean, how sturdy was it? How rigid was that pole? Anyway, like, because you couldn't, like, somebody was like, can I tie somebody like ran out of weapons and somebody was like, can I tie a dagger to the end of it and I can use that as a spear? And we were like, no, you can't. That's it. Because it wasn't a weapon. It was something that people could use for a lot of ways. And then, but a lot of people like said, can I use it to brace in a pit? Like, put it along the pit and use it to hold myself up. Can I tie a rope to it in that case and then dangle the rope down? So we had to like kind of come up with it. I always thought, after I thought about it for a long time, mostly just because it had to be carried from place to place without having to worry about it like breaking or hitting things, that it was like after my parents actually bought a pool table and we had it in our basement, and I was like 6th grade, I think, when that happened. But we actually got those pool cues that you unscrewed. And I remember I was sitting there, like I'm lining up my shots or whatever, and then like I was like unscrewing it for whatever reason, because like waiting for my turn, doing that. And then it just dawned on me. I was sitting there, I was like, wait a minute, maybe that's what the 10-foot pole is. Maybe it's like either 2 separate pieces or even 3 separate pieces. Then you just screwed those 3 separate pieces together. And then I actually thought, that would actually make more sense. It would actually be a strong, like, if it was just one long piece of bamboo or something like that, it's going to bend and wobble around and probably won't be too strong. But if it had metal on the inside and you screwed it together, that pole could be really, really strong. And then like, so all those times when people were like, I want to attach my lockpick to the end of the 10-foot pole, and then I want to go over to the thing and I want to be like trying to pick the lock like this, and I would, as the dungeon master, I'm like, no. But I was like, theoretically, you could put like a nail in there and just jam it into the lock, see if you can get like whatever the gas trap that would normally get you to go off. So the 10-foot pole became like a really, really important thing. After that was like that moment I dawned on me, like it probably can do a lot of the things that my players are suggesting. And for whatever reason, and I could be completely wrong, it probably is on the inventory list. It probably is there somewhere. But the 10-foot pole just seems to have gone extinct for whatever reason. And, and which is fine, I guess. I mean, it's just the passage of time, as far as, I mean, even like the new, like OSR clone things, like 5 Torches Deep, I don't remember seeing that in the list of equipment or anything like that. And to be honest with you, I mean, as long as one person's carrying a spear with them or something like that, I mean, the 10-foot pole kind of doesn't really have as many uses as we thought. But it's just another one of those things that were part of D&D when I was growing up that, for whatever reason, just doesn't seem to be a thing anymore. Which isn't necessarily bad or good. It's just what it is. So there you go, the 10-foot pole. I challenge you out there to, next time you make your character, for whatever system you're playing, ask your dungeon master, your referee, your game master, whatever you want to call them, ask them for a 10-foot pole and just say, I want to be able to carry that with me, and see what they say. I think that if you ask a more wizened dungeon master, he or she, if they've played it for quite a long time, they might get a wistful look in their eyes as they glance to the side. Maybe not, I don't know. But yeah, there you go. If anybody else has any ideas of like the old stuff that used to, like the old things that used to be, I mean, I remember like there used to be like you could buy 10 canaries for a copper piece or something like that. It was like ridiculous stuff in the old DMG. If anybody else has any good memories of those things, let me know in the comments below. And as always, if you could just take a moment to hit the old like button, or if you haven't subscribed, or hit the bell or whatever. My plan is to be just, these are fun. These are really, really really fun for me to make. And if you are enjoying the RPG stuff, please do so. My plan is to do at least 1 or 2 of these videos every week. And so if you want to, hear me espouse some other ridiculous thing here at some point, yeah, just hit the old subscribe button. Until next time, this was me with my 10-foot pole, and we'll talk to you next time. Bye-bye.